John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and what we're going to do today is share with you guys the latest and greatest Omega juicers. And what we're going to do is actually compare one to the other to share with you guys which one is truly best at the task at hand today. So before I go on, I want to mention that I have many different videos on YouTube comparing different juicers one against the other. And always stay tuned and look for my latest videos, because my latest videos always share my latest and greatest and newest products with you guys, as well as comparing them side by side so that you can see which juicer is truly the best for you. So what we're going to do in this video is take the newest Omega juicers. We got the Omega VRT400 over on this side. This is what's called a vertical single auger machine, and this is their latest and greatest vertical auger design. This is probably about their third different version of this. And then over on this side we have the Omega NC800. This model also comes in an Omega NC900, which is identical to the 800 except for the color. So what this is a horizontal single auger machine, and this is the latest and greatest model. So this model is the upgraded model of the Omega 8000 series. It's the latest and greatest, the newest model. It's actually the 6th generation. This model over here is very similar to the Omega VRT350 and 300 series, but actually it's been improved. So next what I want to do is actually talk about a few of the improvements over the previous models. We'll start over on this side with the Omega VRT400. So the Omega VRT400 shares many common parts with the predecessor, including the pusher, the top, the screen, the automatic wiping blade that keeps your screen clean, and the auger. One of the newest parts here is actually the bowl. This bowl on the 400 is actually lift off instead of actually lock in. So this actually makes a removal, disassembly, and assembly much easier. In addition, they have this cool little juice flap here that you can actually plug the juice and keep it inside the machine, so this prevents dripping on the counter. This also allows you to do mixing inside the machine, which is a feature I really like. In addition, this model has a 5-year longer warranty than the previous model. So for that reason alone, I think it definitely warrants an upgrade. In addition, the 400 model has the strainer that I've been asking Omega forever to include with the other models, but at least they're now including it with the new model. So, I mean, this is a built-in strainer. I want you guys to know that the single auger style machines produce some of the most pulpy juice compared to centrifugal ejection machines that run at a high speed. So those are the major differences with the Omega VRT400. Let's next turn to the Omega NC800. This is the upgraded model of the 8000 series, and the main differences between this and the 8000 series, number one, is the larger feed chute. So the feed chute on this machine is 82% larger. That means you can more easily put things in the machine without cutting it, so this makes ease of use significantly easier, and I definitely like that a lot. In addition, what they've done is on the end cap here, this is something new for the NC800, not available on any other 8000 series machines, is that they have an adjustable end cap here. So they have a piece here that screws on that goes from 0 to 5, and when it's at 0 it comes off, and when it's at 5 it's all the way tight. So what this does, it actually puts back pressure inside the machine, so this keeps the pulp inside the machine for the longest period of time to assure you're going to get the maximum yield. Now if you're juicing something like carrots, you definitely want to have it on a 5. If you're juicing something like fruits that are a lot softer in texture, you don't want to keep it backed up, because actually it'll back up the chute for you. You want to allow it to come out, so then you'll put it on a 1. And even in some instances, you actually want to remove this altogether to just have it free running without any back pressure. Another difference between this and the 8000 series machines is the screen design. So there's a brand new screen design. It actually has a more screen area than the previous model, and the screen has also been strengthened, so it's much stronger. Other than that, the auger is actually identical. So both this and the previous series and on the Vert series, the augers are identical. In addition, the power of the motors and the RPMs remain unchanged. It's 80 RPMs. Also, I want to say that Omega is now offering a 15-year warranty on the NC800 series as well. And I want to talk about warranties for a second. I always want to encourage you guys to get a juicer with a long warranty, right? I don't want you guys going out to a department store and buying a juicer off the department store, off the infomercial. I mean, they might have a short 30-day, 60-day, 90-day warranty, right? If the juicer goes kaput in just a short amount of time, you'll have to buy another juicer, right? I want you guys to make a juicing as a choice, as a lifestyle choice, that you're gonna buy a juicer, invest in it, and keep doing it day in, day out for years to come. I know that when you start juicing, you will feel the benefits of juicing. You will have more energy. You're gonna start to shed some of that extra weight that you weren't formerly able to lose because you're eating more processed foods. In this way, with juicing, you're gonna eat more fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, and you're gonna have more mental clarity, be able to think clear because you're just getting a higher quality food in you. And you're gonna wanna do that day in and day out. And by buying a juicer now with the longest warranty, you're gonna make an investment in your health. And you know, to me, your health is your greatest wealth, and you guys may have heard that expression before, but I really want you guys to take that to heart, because even if you have all the money in the world, you know, without your health, you can't enjoy the money. So think about that one. In any case, we're gonna go ahead and quickly assemble these guys back, and you know, these guys are super simple, super easy to clean and assembly. They're some of the easiest ones in the world. That being said, each of these juicers have their pros and cons. So that's what I'm going to go over next, actually, is on assembly and disassembly, which one of these is best? Because everybody always asks me, John, what's the best Omega, NC800 or the Vert? I don't know, man. It depends exactly what you want to do in your specific criteria. So that's why I make these videos for you guys, to explain the criteria. So you said, oh, John said this about this machine, that about that machine. Oh, I kind of like that machine better because that better meets my needs. It's like if you go into a store and you're buying some shoes, right? And you want to play rugby, right? You want to play rugby in the rain, right? I can only imagine that playing rugby in the rain, rugby's like that British football thing, right? And stuff. You need to have some cleats. So the cleats are the shoes with the spikes on them, right? So they grip the ground so you don't just slip, right? Because playing rugby in sandals, man, that ain't working, let me tell you guys. So the same thing with juicers. You know, if you want to juice certain kinds of things, certain juicers are going to do better than others. I mean, if you're going to a wedding, you're not going to wear some rugby cleats. You're going to actually wear some nice dress shoes. So same thing with the juicers. You want to match up your specific needs with the juicer that's best going to meet them. And that's why I make these videos, because the manufacturers and other people out there will say, buy that juicer, it's the best. And they try to like make things right or wrong, good or bad, best and worst, right? I'm just sharing with you guys all the shades of gray and how the machines do it so that you guys can make an informed decision, because you know what I truly want is I want people to eat more fruits and vegetables. You know, by using a juicer is definitely one of the best ways to do that I've found. It's changed my life, and I'm confident it could change yours. And I'm not really particularly tied to any particular brand. I'm tied to the machines that are going to do the best at the lowest price with the longest warranty. And those are the machines that I choose to use in my house. And I can confidently tell you right now that the machines that sit on the counter in my house right now, right today, are the NC800 and the Vert 400. Those are the two of the ones that I use the most out of the whole collection of juicers I have. So anyways, with the cleaning and the assembly and disassembly, one of these two is better than the other. And which one is it? Ding, ding, ding. It's the Omega NC800. This one has far less parts, much less screen area to clean, and it's gonna clean up a lot easier and assemble a lot easier than the Vert 400 over on this side. So next, let's talk about price. You know, price is a major consideration for some people, and if you don't have that much money and you want to get the least expensive one of these machines that both have a 15-year warranty, which one is it? Well, ding, ding, ding. It's the Omega NC800. It is less expensive than the Omega Vert 400. Another thing that you may want to consider is how loud they are, because I know many of you guys want to juice in the morning or in the late evening when your spouse, roommates, babies are asleep in the household. And I'm glad to say that both these machines run at 80 RPMs, and that's revolutions per minute. That's actually how fast they spin, and they're both about as equally as quiet. So actually, they tie on that factor. Another factor that you may be concerned with is pre-cutting your produce. Which one of these juicers require you to pre-cut more produce? Well, produce cutting is dependent on two things. Number one, the size of the feed chute. So if we're going by only the size of the feed chute, technically the Omega Vert 400 is a larger feed chute, so it's going to require less cutting. But there's a little asterisk up there. With any vertical single auger design juicer, you do need to pre-cut certain produce items such as leafy greens and celery. So Swiss chard, kale, collard greens, dandelion greens, even wheatgrass, that has long fibrous strands, and the celery, of course. You do need to pre-cut, and I recommend for best results you pre-cut them into 1/8" pieces. Yes, 1/8" pieces. So that's like this much. It's pretty small. So you want to cut it the smallest for the best results. And with this machine, as long as you cut anything so that it'll fit in the chute and you can push it in through the chute without getting stuck, you're totally golden. So, on one level, depending on what you're juicing, there's less cutting in the Vert 400, and on another level, there's actually less cutting on the NC800. Next, let's talk about juicing certain produce items. I know many of you guys want to just use carrots and apples, and in my opinion, one of these machines juices carrots and apples better than others, and there's one of the machines that I would choose if I was going to juice carrots and apples almost exclusively, easily. I'd pick the Omega Vert 400, no questions asked, hands down, for juicing, fruits and roots. Now, on the other hand, if you want to juice, John, I want to juice all sprouts and wheatgrass because I'm on a Hippocrates style or Ann Wigmore or green diet, right? Then I definitely wouldn't get the Vert. I'd go with the NC800 because it is a lot more efficient at juicing wheatgrass, sprouts, and things like that, and even the leafy greens, much more efficient in the NC800. What if you're a person, John, I don't know what I want to juice, man. I want to juice everything under the sun. Well, if it's a produce item that can be juiced and you want to juice a little bit of everything, then in that case, I would probably go with the Omega Vert 400. It kind of does a little bit better on, in general, most things than this guy over here. Maybe you're some person that says, John, I don't like my vegetables. And then I'd say, well, you really should start eating some vegetables, especially the leafy green vegetables are so good for us. But John, I want to eat some fruits and I only want to juice fruits. I don't want to juice any veggies, man. Which one of these two juicers is best for juicing fruits? Well, then I'd have to say the Omega Vert 400, and once again, there's a little asterisk there. Now, when you're juicing fruits, you want to get the nice, hardest, firmest fruits as possible. If you're juicing soft fruits, both these juices will make, an applesauce out of soft apples. As well, both these juices will make a fairly pulpy juice for you guys. So the juicers work best on hard, firm fruits. If you got soft fruits that are old and mealy or going mushy or really ripe, those are better just eaten whole or actually blended, not used in your juicer. Be sure to check my other videos on YouTube for juicing fruits in some of the vertical and actually even horizontal single auger machines for my best practices or techniques I use to have the most successful results. Another thing people may want to do is, John, besides just the juicing, I want to get into other health and lifestyle changes and dietary changes. So which one of these machines are going to better meet my needs? So in that case, I would say the Omega NC800. I mean, the NC stands for Nutrition Center. That has a different meaning than just the Omega Vert 400 juicer. The Nutrition Center is a machine that not only will juice, but it will allow you to make frozen fruit desserts. So these are low-calorie desserts that now you can eat, made from ripe fruits that are frozen, whether you're freezing them yourself, which is a lot less expensive than buying pre-frozen fruits, that you run through the machine with what's called a blank plate or a solid screen, and you literally make that frozen yogurt ice cream consistency out of the machine that's 100% fruit, that does not have the, corn syrup, the sugars, the monodiglycerides, the preservatives, the artificial colors, artificial flavors. In this way, you get more frozen fruits in your diet. I mean, yeah, add in a few nuts in there and stuff and sprinkle with some goodies on the top, and you're eating mostly frozen fruits instead of, high-fat dairy products that may not be so healthy for you. In addition, this one will also allow you to grind things up. So say you're a gardener and you're making, you grow a lot of cabbage and you want to make some sauerkraut. You could actually put the cabbage through here. It'll grind it up into a nice consistency, release a lot of the liquid or the juice out of the cabbage, but mix it in with the solids, and then you could literally just ferment that after it comes right out of the machine in its own liquid and have your own fresh sauerkraut. if you still drink coffee, which I do not recommend, I recommend substituting the juice instead of coffee. If you're trying to get away from coffee, I recommend reducing the consumption of coffee while increasing the amount of juice slowly but surely till you inch out all the coffee and then expand to drink, that much or more in fresh juices. But if you want to drink coffee, then you could actually grind things like coffee beans in the NC800 to make your own ground coffee. You could also actually grind up nuts and seeds, and depending on the type of seed, because certain seeds don't work because they're actually too small. But nuts and seeds you could actually put through the machine to make things like nut butters. You could also do something really cool that I love. It's actually desserts. So it's like instead of eating candy bars or cookies, I like to make dried fruit and nut desserts. So the NC800 is the machine I use to do that. What I do is I take some raw macadamia nuts and some raisins, and you put a piece of raisins and put a macadamia nut, a piece of raisin and macadamia nut, and then at the end will come this nice gooey, fatty and sweet natural candy. So this can get you away from eating, some of those, processed sugars, candies and cookies, and once again, you're just eating nuts and fruits, and this is definitely a good way to increase the quantity of healthy plant foods that you can get in your diet. So yes, so you guys learn that this one's much better as a lifestyle machine. What if you're somebody like many of my customers that says, John, I don't got a lot of time, man. I want to sit in the kitchen all day juicing. Which one of these two machines is faster? Well, then I'd have to say overall, the Omega Vert is faster if you properly prepare your produce, because one of the things I like the most is that I'm a busy guy, I like convenience. This machine, I could literally cut everything up properly, drop it in the machine, and it's called auto feeding. So this means you don't have to sit there and push the produce in every bunch with the pusher. On the NC800, it is not auto feeding. You're gonna have to sit there and push each bunch of carrots you put in, and that takes a little bit more time. So, these are some of the different pros and cons of these machines, and which one is the best one for you, I don't exactly know, but I've shared, some of the different criteria for you guys so that you guys will understand some of the differences. Be sure to check some of my other videos where I, compare these, for example, juicing leafy greens, and you can see clearly this machine over on this side, the NC800, produced 25% more juice than the vertical single auger on leafy greens. So today we're not going to do the leafy greens because I've already done that test, but we're going to juice something different, and I'm interested in seeing which one will reign supreme in this juice off of juicing hard root vegetables. So we got some baby carrots here, pre-measured, pre-washed. I like these a lot because I can just rip off the top and dump them in the machines, and the machines are going to juice them on up, and then we're going to check the yields and see which one of these two machines makes the highest yield when juicing carrots. And this will give you an idea. And if you want to juice all carrots, then after watching this test, you'll know which one yields more with carrots, and we'll see what the margin is. Does this one make 25% more carrot juice than this one? I don't know. That's why I'm going to do it today. I mean, when I'm at home and I juice like almost every day if I'm home, I get to juice all kinds of different produce items, so I have a wide range of knowledge and experience with these machines to see how it's going to work. And I don't know what you guys are juicing, so I try to make these videos to kind of give you some ideas and share with you my experiences and what I've learned about these machines so that, once again, you guys can make the most informed and best choice. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get in this juice off. We're going to go ahead and rip this bag open here. We've got 2 pounds of the baby carrots there and 2 pounds of the carrots here. You might be thinking, John, how can you juice all those carrots, man? Carrots are high in sugar. Well, I want you guys to look up something. It's called the glycemic index and the glycemic load. 2 different things. Although carrots do have some sugar content in there, nobody would disagree with that. Carrot juice made with the juicer fresh is far better than any soda that also contains sugar in there. Because why? Well, carrot juice is a processed food, man. It's no longer in its whole state. Well, that's right, you're missing the fiber, or the majority of the fiber, depending on which one of these juicers you leave, because some of these juicers do leave a fair bit of fiber. But the thing is, besides just the fiber in there, there's a lot of other nutrients besides the sugar. It's the carotenoids, that make the carrots orange. And you know, people, some certain people, fair-skinned people specifically, if they drink too much carrot juice, they're going to have a nice tinge of orange, and that's the color kind of showing through you know, their skin. But these carotenoids are things that are very helpful for us. They can protect us from things like the sun, and they're antioxidants to help free radical damage in our body. So yeah, while there is sugar in there, there's a lot of other nutrients in there, including the vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals that are coming out in the juice that you're going to get that's definitely not in a soda. So, you know, I always want to encourage you guys to think good, better, best. Yeah, eating whole carrots might be better than drinking a juice, but on the other hand, I would probably almost never, unless I was starving, sit here and eat 2 pounds of carrots. And even if I did, if you didn't chew them to a mush each and every mouthful, you're not going to get optimal digestion. I personally would much rather put 2 pounds of carrots through the machine and separate out the fiber, which basically goes right through us anyways, because if you think about it, we are nothing more or less than juice extractors. We put something in the mouth, and then out the front end of us, even if you're a girl, I think this happens, you get the liquid, right? And then out the back end, we get the fiber. And that's what the juicer's doing. You put the carrots in here, out the front end, you get the fiber, out the bottom, you get the juice. So our bodies can only digest foods that are in a liquid state, so juices are the easiest things to digest, and they're going to take the least amount of energy so that you can get the nutrition out of it. I mean, it's the exact opposite on Thanksgiving or a big holiday when you're eating a large meal, and after the meal you're like, man, I just want to go lie down and rest. I'm feeling tired. That's because your body is like diverting a lot of energy to digest the food that you're eating. The other hand, on juices, it's so easy to digest. Your body has energy and is being given a lot of energy from the fresh juice to do other things, like to have that mental focus to, you know, do a lot of activity or mental work or whatever you guys do. So I guess with that, let's go ahead and get into this juice off. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn both machines on here. And I think I'm just going to try to take one hand of carrots and put them into each machine. And as you guys can see, we got the juice automatically coming out of the Omega VRT400. It's auto feeding, and the NC800, the carrots are kind of also feeding also. If these were larger carrots, they would not be auto feeding, but I think because these carrots are so small, it is kind of auto feeding. That being said, these are both called slow juicers. So it's very important when using any slow juicer is to slow down and not just cram anything in as fast as you can, because these guys will back up. Actually, another thing that I didn't talk about earlier when I was comparing the machines is, John, which one is easier to use? Like, if you don't like reading instruction manuals and you don't like figuring things out, then I would definitely encourage you guys and recommend the NC800. This is what I call a no-brainer juicer. You literally put stuff in, it gets juiced, and it totally works. Aside from the little adjustment that you may have to do. On the Omega Vert, it's a little bit more complex. You know, you have to cut up produce properly, you have to feed things in the right order, all this kind of stuff, or it may get actually clogged up because, you know, this one does tend to clog if not used properly. I've been teaching people how to use it properly for many years now, and once you watch one of my videos, actually it's called Omega Vert Best Practices, you're probably rarely, if ever, going to have any issues with clogging it. The problem is the instruction manual that comes with the machine doesn't explain what I explained in my video. So I encourage you guys to watch my videos for a wealth of knowledge where I share my knowledge with you guys so that you guys can be lifelong juicers, because that's truly what I hope some of these videos do. They allow you and give you the permission and get you the machine that's going to work right for you so that you can juice day in and day out and get those positive health benefits that I've already experienced and many of my customers have as well. So you can see here, this one's totally auto feeding. I'm not having to use the pusher. This one kind of auto feeds, but I'm having to use the pusher here a little bit. If we had to say, like, I'm probably about halfway done feeding the carrots in the NC800, and I'm probably like 3/4 of the way feeding the carrots in the Omega Vert, but I'm also yabbing a little bit to you guys. But nonetheless, the Omega Vert's just just a tad bit quicker. You know, I'm a busy guy. I got a lot of stuff to do. I make a lot of videos on YouTube to share this information with you guys, and I don't want to sit here and push produce in. You know, I did say that the NC800 does sit on my counter, But if I'm using the NC800, I'm doing it because I'm probably juicing like straight leafy greens or mostly leafy greens. And frankly, it's just going to be done better in the NC800. So once again, if that's one of your goals and priorities, this is a machine you might want to go with. I tend to juice a lot of varieties of different things, and for the most part, I'd rather use a vertical auger than the horizontal ones. But there's times when I want to use the horizontal as well. So as you guys can see, both these machines are working very well. I'm getting near the end of juicing all the carrots in the Vert, and I still got a fair bit to juice in the NC800 here. Oh, another thing I want to talk about too is the counter space. I know some of you guys live in the country and you have acreage and you have large kitchens, you know, and you live in Texas and stuff. Everything's bigger in Texas. But some of you guys live in, you know, New York City. And in New York City, I know, I've stayed there, and the hotels in New York City are relatively bad. Like, the rooms are so small, and I can only imagine how big some of those apartments are and stuff like that in the city. So counter space may be at a premium. So obviously, you guys could see, if counter space is at a premium, which machine do you want to get? Well, then you want to get the Omega Vert. It takes far less counter space. I mean, this is actually one of Omega's largest juicers to date. It's actually quite long. Totally, you could probably almost fit two Verts in the space of one NC800. So once again, every juicer has its pros and cons. And I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your butt telling you one's better than the other when, frankly, in some ways, one is better than the other, but in other ways, the other one is. And, I don't exactly know your needs, so I can't tell you which one's best for your needs. Hopefully after watching this video, you'll better know, your needs and some of the pros and cons of the machine and be able to better determine which one of these truly may be the best for you. If you're still having challenges, then I would encourage you to reach out and contact me at discountjuicers.com. There's a little contact link, and I'll be glad to help you out. You want to be sure to specifically say what your specific needs are, like what specifically you want to juice in what proportions and some of the most important factors to you. I mean, one of the factors for many people is, John, I want the most nutritious juice. Which one of these two juicers is going to produce the most nutritious juice? Well, in that instance, I'd have to say it was almost too close to call. Both these run on a single auger principle. They both run 80 RPM, so for all practical purposes, the nutrition profile of the juices are going to be pretty much identical. As you guys can see, we're out of carrots on the Omega Vert side, but we're still juicing in the NC800. So let's go ahead and finish this up. The other thing I want to let you guys know is that when you're juicing in these machines, you don't want to just put the last handful of carrots in, then shut the machine off instantly. As you guys can see, we finished putting produce in the Vert, 30 seconds ago, and the pulp is still flowing out of the machine. Oh, and so is the juice there. We'd had that little plugger stop to keep all the juice inside the machine, and now we just let it all out. Now, if you do this, you do not want to let it exceed the 300 milliliter mark. I think we probably exceeded that just a little bit. And actually, this may have negatively impacted the pulp to make it a little bit wetter, so it may have actually reduced our yields just a tad. So I want you guys to keep that in consideration when we do this next test to see which juicer really produced more juice. So there we go, got all the carrots juiced in the Omega NC800. We've been letting this run a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and turn that guy off. This guy's running just a little bit more. What I'm gonna do now is pick up the pulp here, and if I pick up the pulp here and squeeze it, man, I could barely squeeze a few drips out. There's barely any drips of juice in my hands. The pulp is really dry. We're gonna go ahead and take the Vert pulp and check this stuff out. And this one's a fair bit wetter. Now once again, I left this pulp flap closed. When you do that, what happens is the juice stays in there. It basically, the dry pulp that's supposed to come out of the machine stays in there and may pick up more liquids. So this is not advised to keep the pulp flap closed. It's best always to keep it open. So I kind of messed up on that one, but now we're going to go ahead and turn this machine off, and what we're going to do next is actually pour both juices into the same size catch cup and strain it, because one of the things with both these machines, with all slow running juicers, they do create more pulp than those high-speed machines. Now, I don't necessarily recommend those high-speed machines anymore because, you know, they run at high speed, and while they don't create any excess heat to damage the juice, they do create excess oxidation that will lower the nutrition quality of the juice. I've seen studies that say, you know, given the same produce juice in a slow juicer and a high-speed machine, the high-speed machine juice may have 50% less of certain nutrients. And that does concern me because, after all, I'm juicing for my health. So what we have here is, actually, we have some Vert catch cups here, and we're going to use the little strainer that actually comes with the Vert 400 to see how much pulp is caught in each strainer catch cup. So we're going to go ahead and take our juice here from the NC800, pour it through the strainer. And as you guys can see, we're pouring out the juice, and yes, there is a bit of pulp. The pulp looks fairly fine. The strainer is doing its job and catching it. Next, we're going to go ahead and pour the juice from the Omega Vert into the catch cup. Let me show you guys that. Right through the strainer. And pretty much the same thing. It has some fine pulp as well in there. And actually, it has a significantly more pulp than the NC800. So there's another criteria for you right there. John, I like a pulpy juice. Which machine should I get? Well, get the Vert. It puts out definitely more pulp in the juice. And if you're one of the people on the other end of the spectrum, John, I want a virtually pulp-free juice. Well, the NC800 is not virtually pulp-free. It did create, I'd probably say, about half the amount of pulp than the Vert. But the other thing I'd say, if you want a pulp-free juice, is invest in a little strainer. Whether you get a strainer like this, or whether you get a strainer at your local big box store that you sift out, a little colander or sieve. You can strain out your juice really simply and easy with a few dollars strainer if you don't want the pulp. Sometimes I like to strain my pulp, sometimes I don't. It's like sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Sometimes I feel like pulp, sometimes I don't. In general, I prefer my juices without pulp overall. Alright, so you guys can see we strained this down pretty good. Let's go ahead and compare the results there, and I want to show you guys this. Check it out, man. Now, we did leave the pulp flap closed on the Vert, and I strongly believe, and actually fairly well know, that this did lower the yield because it put more juice into the pulp that was ejected. So, this to me looks like an unordinary lesser amount of juice than we would normally get. That being said, the Omega Vert made about 13 ounces of juice, and the NC800 made 16 ounces of juice. So the NC800 made 3 extra ounces of juice. So this is like a minimum, 20-25% more juice on the carrots than the Omega Vert. Now, if I did not use the plunger, so this is another thing, teach you guys not to keep the pulp flap shut all the time, keep it open, increase your yields. And I'm going to redo this test later with the pulp flap open and with it closed so that I could see the differences with it open and closed and how much that negatively affects the yields, because it's not going to positively impact the yields. I confidently believe that if I did this through the Vert without the pulp flap closed, I probably would have got more like, around 15 ounces of juice. So the range would maybe only 10% difference instead of the whooping 20 to 25% difference that we got here. But as you guys can see, one of these machines did reign supreme in this yield test of the 2 pounds of the baby carrots, and it was simply the NC800. So if you're going for a juicer for yield with the leafy greens and the hard vegetables, I could now confidently say the NC800 is going to be the winner. Now, if you're interested in juicing fruits, that's a whole nother story, because fruits have a different texture and the different extraction method, and my money is on the Vert for winning on that one. But I'll have an upcoming episode soon showing juicing fruits in both these machines and seeing how well they both perform and which one will reign supreme. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors. Eating fresh foods, and actually the natural foods movement is founded on eating fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and nowadays it's gotten so deranged with just eating more packaged foods. And what I want everybody to do is get back to eating natural foods, foods that you could grow in your very garden.